What's up, everybody? It's your boy Mario from Technomancy Studios, back again with a new video. This time it's not suits related. This is actually something completely new. Now, this is a side project I've been working on, and I haven't touched it in a few days since this video is going to be out. When this video is out, I probably won't be touching it for a while though, because I'm still working on suits too. And I did not tell Gabe and Will about this until maybe like a week or two ago. And I told them I was going to show them when we met up at a friend's house, but forgot to actually make a build and bring it with me. But I'm going to make this video to kind of make up for that, and so that you, the people, can see it and give us your opinion on this. Now, this is still very work in progress, placeholders, everything's a placeholder. This is kind of more like a proof of concept, really, for a game I want to start making. And obviously this is not going to be, the ideas I have are not going to be what's going to be in the final game. Typically whenever we come up with an idea, there's three of us who, have to agree, but most of us are not going to be on board with it, and there's going to be some changes that need to be done. Although it is my idea, just like Suits was, it will be heavily changed to something completely different, most likely. I mean, the idea with Suits wasn't changed super completely, it just became more comedic than dark, I guess. But this one probably won't be changing too much, but we'll see about that. So anywho, you might be able to read that this project name is Maplestory Clone. I have no real name for this thing. I actually do, sort of. And I will actually open that up. But while I find the file for that, I'll just go on with the general premise. So, a while back, I would say probably a couple months ago, I made a write-up because I felt like we needed to be a bit more professional with our things when it comes to designing these games. And so I wanted to make a game because of the games I was playing at the current time. And this game would be an RPG. I would really like it to be multiplayer, even MMOs kinda. But in reality, I know where to keep my expectations, cool it down with the MMO stuff. I'm not like some of those people who are like, oh, I want to learn how to program in Game Maker and make an MMO. It would be so cool and everybody will be playing it and nobody be playing World of Warcraft. No, I'm not like that. I know realistically where I would be. So this game, though, I would still love to have multiplayer in it. It would be really fun with multiplayer. However, it really depends on what I can do with, what I can do. I still have issues with doing multiplayer and stuff like that. However, I feel like with more practice, I'll understand some more. But if not multiplayer, then just keep it single player. That way it makes it a lot easier on myself. And I'm still trying to look for this thing. Okay, here it is. Hopefully it'll open up. So, I was inspired by a few games that I personally love. Destiny. So, okay. So obviously I have a very original work name. It's called Destiny, and because it's going to be better than Destiny. When I made this write-up, Destiny was not really in a good state at the time. So and you know, to me, it's still like not the game. How do I like just make this like? Okay, whatever. We'll just go with this. So my write-up is basically just this. You know, kind of like what I would, how, you know, I would go about making this, like what I want to kind of get that feel. Destiny, Maplestory being the MMO like I played in my childhood, and I still play today. And I really enjoy, I play on a private server because I prefer the old school Maplestory than the new stuff. The new stuff is just not that great. And Phantasy Star Online. Now, I never really played Phantasy Star Online. Very much. I played, I can't say I can play a good amount of it. I definitely sunk a few hours into it, but I didn't play it at the time. You know, that was something I did. I had no clue existed or anything, or whatnot. But generally, I like the idea and the feel of like the theme of Phantasy Star Online. This futuristic sci-fi mix. I really love it. It's groovy. It's awesome. You know, Steam matchmaking. That was just kind of idea like, okay, this is how we get the connections being made. Like, you can connect with friends really easily. And then kind of just general ideas of like what I would want to do. Now, some of these things here have changed. This is just ideas, like me throwing ideas at the wall. So like, it would play like Maplestory. It would also have boss fights like Phantasy Star Online, but that doesn't really say much because if it plays like Maplestory, it's gonna have boss fights like Maplestory. I just think it was just the idea of like the kind of structure, and raids and strike missions like Destiny. I don't know about that still. It all depends. I think it, you know, that's just kind of the idea I wanted. And then, you know, I put some reference images since, you know, Gaben will have never seen these games, never really played them or anything, so I just, you know, some reference images to kind of like, oh, here's Phantasy Star, here's Maplestory, here's Destiny, and then just I go in depth, these like slightly in depth with these mechanics and kind of like, okay, this is how I want it to look. Basically just copy that, and then here's a gameplay loop. I was like, you know, design so that we can make, you know, generally design content like this. Now this is probably like, you know, probably still going to be the case. It might, I don't know. Enemies and loots. This might just change the 4 enemy races. This was just more like Destiny's kind of thing because they had like 4 races and 5, I guess. But and you know, I was like, well, you know, I like a lot what Maplestory's been doing. Now because I've been playing Maplestory recently, on this private server, there's a lot I want to kind of more shift towards that Maplestory feel and less of the Destiny, but still keep some of that DNA. And you know, I don't think we go, yeah, like the item stuff, yeah, forget about that. This thing is completely like not even anymore. Like I don't want to do this anymore. I think the way Maplestory handles their items is a lot better, and I will go into depth as to why. Yeah, there's no more of this. It's gonna be like, yeah, this is really out of date. So let's just exit out of that. Okay, yeah, whatever, Windows. And let's actually get into the meeting. So I'm gonna just make a little build real quick. And then let's just see if game capture will. Let's see, does it capture the game? Hold on. There we go. Yeah, but hold on, it's really small. And fit the screen. Alright, so it might look a little shitty, but that doesn't matter. So, you can see, I've got a little guy. One of the first things I worked on was the player's physics and platforming. So you can jump, it's got a little like, little short jump. Really fast though. And you can like bounce, hit his head. I had to rewrite this guy's code like 3 times. And the reason why was because of the falling. The falling was kind of glitched. So you see how he falls and he just like hits the ground and stops? That's perfect. That's what I wanted. But with Game Maker, Game Maker is very special. And Game Maker, when you move too fast, I believe it does not really take into account the collision first. It just applies any kind of like change in the X and Y direction. I don't know. It just seems like it does that. Because whenever you do collisions, you can't just have, you have to actually, as you can see, there's a blue box here. That's actually my visual representation for this collision box. And you'll see, he'll hit the wall. And if I jump, you see it just kind of, yeah, so it has to be ahead of the player at all times when he's like moving and falling, and that offset is determined by the velocity. Which if I click them, I can just kind of boom, like that. I can like throw them around, it's really cool. That way we can do a lot more like cool stuff without having to put that much code, so you just apply a velocity. So if we want to make like a jump pad, we just boom, there he is, and he doesn't really glitch into walls or anything. Now, you might be wondering, what the heck is this box here? This last thing I was working on was the inventory UI, and I'm still trying to figure out how I actually want to go about doing that. So in Game Maker, and if you know anything about Game Maker, you would know they have no proper UI programming, a GUI programming. You can draw items, you can draw like images on the GUI layer, for example, like this text. But you cannot make this interactable. If you want to make something interactable, you have to make an object. And that object then has to, so this is an object right here. And if I move, you know, this back and forth like that, you can see it kind of like has a delay because it's trying to follow the screen with, but because of the way the camera works, it's just doing this weird little thing where it's kind of this weird little offset. And yeah, my plan for this is to actually just make an entire GUI system for Game Maker, something advanced, and I might put it on the marketplace. We'll see about that, if it's any good. That is something, you know, I kind of want to make it flexible for any game I use. So, you know, that's just ideas. I'll have to write it up. So anyway, this is all I can really show you of this game. It's not very impressive. Actually, let me do something real quick. I have an entire inventory system that is like to the T, like copying Maplestory. It is basically what I wanted because it is a good practice. I think it is a very advanced layered inventory system, which I have first had written down all here on this Trello. Oops. I written down all on this Trello here. Basically, before I even started programming anything, I was like, all right, I need to figure out how I want this inventory system to work. I had a basic idea. Items will have unique IDs. These IDs because you can upgrade your items, and there'll be random stats too, because I like that. I really like that stuff. However, my original idea wasn't going to work, but it was a good premise of how I wanted things to, you know, I can still make it do it, sort of. So we start with like the inventory map, data structure map. It's a bunch of data structures within data structures. That's all this thing is. It's actually really intuitive and easy to use and to make. So we start with the container, basically, which is this map, and this map is going to hold an encoded, or actually I don't think it's encoded actually anymore, but it's going to hold then the list. So there's going to be different keys, so there's equips, use, etc., bonus, and they'll have of the value of the list, the equip list. So that equip list is then going to hold actually encrypted unique IDs for the items themselves. So the data one, and so on and so forth. It's just like that. So if you want, you can pause the video, read through this, and get an idea of what I was doing. It might not be exactly that because I did make some changes, but for the most part, it should be the same. It should be mostly the same. So the next thing I did was actually create item objects. These item objects will read the data of that item and then do things like set this object to the item. It's got a little smiley face. I'm gonna make I'm gonna just do like 100. Let's just make a lot of loot spawn. So this is just, oh, and we got these little guys. Yep, those are basic enemies, and they drop loot, and you can pick them up. You just walk over it, and oop, something broke. Yes, I remember now. I think I can only do yeah, I think I can only do like 3. Forgot about that, guys. I should probably make it so that I can do more than 3. Alright, just do that again. Yep, there they go, they died again. Pick their stuff up. And if I click, boom, little explosion. Loot explosion. So depending on how many items drop, they actually kind of evenly distribute themselves out. You'll see like how they're all kind of evenly, like boom. So if you have more items, it just like starts spreading out. And this is actually kind of how Maplestory does it. I kind of managed to get it right somewhat, but and you can see they go away pretty quickly. But that's just for testing. I needed to make sure it worked. And you can still pick them up while they're fading away, so you still got a little bit of time. And it's just, I don't know, it's just real fun. And at some point, you see I stopped picking up items because my inventory is full of that item. So actually, if I go into instances, I can actually open this up and we can actually look into the inventory. So we could view as a map, and you can see we got our etc. equip lists. Everything here's all the lists are here, and we can actually then, this is an item here. Come on. Okay. So equip lists. So now we can open this list within here. Now these are all the equips here. These equips have unique values. They're all randomized. Actually, I can open up the script. So how we make an equip is if you want to make a new equipment, you just go here, you add a new enumerator ID. I'm using enumerators a lot in this project. Like, this is one thing I learned from Suits 2. Use enumerators, please. It is not hard to make them. It is not hard to implement them. If you don't understand what an enumerator is, I'm going to give it to you now. It is basically just a number. This is 0, this is 1, this is 2. You can set to whatever you want if you want to, but most of the time you don't need to. The idea is just basically for organization. Because in Suits 2, I use like a switch system like here, which gets an ID, and then it checks for that ID, and then you do whatever you need to do. However, I only use numbers. Big dumb here. Because that is like a big brain move right there, because it makes me look smart when I'm like, oh yeah, let's just put number 40 down. But that doesn't tell anybody else what 40 is. And myself, I'll forget. What the hell is 40? I don't know. It's probably like an attack for an enemy that, oh, I'm sorry, I need to do this one, not that one. 41, not 42. So on and so forth. So let's just open up one of these. It's got a lot of data. So we have all of our main variables here, the data name, the equipment, the sprites, all this jazz. It's probably going to have more data later. And then we add this data to a map that we create up here somewhere. Yeah, we create it somewhere. equipment. Yeah, right here. We create it all the way up here. It's temporarily, so it just gets destroyed when we're done using it. All that matters is that we get, like, we write it, which basically encodes it to a string, and then we return it. Very simple. And all the other items work similar. Now, with this new system in place, let me actually open the use one. In Suits 2, I have stackable objects. They are, or items. They are very complicated. Oh, okay, I want to say common. They're very stupid how they work. So I couldn't figure out how to make things stackable. Now, at this point, I was still trying to get into the idea of data structures. They're still a little complicated for me, and a little weird to understand. And when to use some, when to not to use some. Now, basically, every time I created a new usable item, there is a variable stored in the game manager that is for that item, and is that counts it up, which is really bad and really inefficient. Because if I want to just keep adding a bunch of new items, I would have to make a bunch of new variables and all this stuff. This method I'm doing that I've created myself uses use amount. So the item actually stores how much of an amount it has. So if you drop an item, it can have an amount, a stack of 10, for example, like this usable item. And that makes it so much easier because it's all contained in this one item. And when you do things like, add to the inventory, we can check this, do some checks and stuff and see, does this item exist? Add it with the use amount. If it doesn't exist, add a new one. If it does exist, see if it's full, the stack is full. If it is, make a new one in the slot, take up a new slot, yada yada. If it isn't full, just add it to the stack. It's really efficient, it works, and I wish I could do this for Suits too, but it's too late. It's way too much code now, it's kind of a mess. Now, we're already running up to almost like to 22 minutes. So I'm going to wrap this up. Basically, inventory system thing is done. Movement is done. I still have a lot more to do for this. Enemies, UI. I think UI is still going to be the next thing I work on. That's really important to me. It's going to be a major part, and I really want to make this so I could take this out from this game project and use it in other projects of ours later down the line. So that's why this UI thing is very important to me. Just like this inventory system, this isn't just going to be used here. It's actually, it's actually a very flexible system. You can make it as complex and layered as you want. It's it's not hard. We're going to probably use it in future games too. So keep an eye out for that. You might notice some familiar quirks with these inventory systems. But yes, everybody, that is basically it. I am making a Maplestory clone, because I want to try making it, really cool, really fun. It's pretty simple, or at least it's more of a gaming game. So if there's actually there would probably be more demos and builds out for people to test publicly than there would be for Suits, because Suits is a very story-focused game. This game is going to be more, game, and then it's going to have a lot of story. I really hope we can put a lot of story and depth to it, but it won't be we'll be focusing on mechanics, so we can have a playtest room for people to mess around in. So yeah, if you really like this idea, leave a comment button down below. It'd be, give us, what you want. If you like something, if you're a Maplestory fan, tell me what you would like to see in this game that Maplestory just doesn't have. And as always, guys, take care. Bye.